Hey there, everybody. It's me, Jacob Tucker, back here again for our first Cadence video. This is going to be the start to the Cadence series that I'm going to be doing. I'm excited for this journey, and let's get started. So I'm reporting in live from my dorm room, the smartest and hottest developer you've probably ever seen. Um, and today we're going to be answering, what is Flow? And also, like, what is Cadence, right? Why are we even learning Cadence? So the other thing I'd like to say is that, in these videos, I'm really going to be talking off the cuff here. This wasn't really pre-planned. I'm not reading off a note stock, so I hope this will provide some sort of a genuine experience for you as the listener, to just hear me kind of ramble on about these topics. But I promise I'll keep it short. So, what is Flow and what is Cadence? Well, as a brief history lesson, DapperLabs is the company that actually made Flow and built Flow. And this was sort of in response to the whole CryptoKitties thing that they did some time ago. So, to kind of go into that for a second and just stick with me for a sec, I know this may be boring, but please just show me some appreciation. So CryptoKitties was this big thing in the Web3 space, and kind of, I think, probably the thing that actually kicked off NFTs. If you don't know what an NFT is, I'll explain that very briefly. So, think about a scenario where if I were to give someone a $1 bill, and then I gave them another $1 bill, those $1 bills are completely interchangeable, right? That's called being fungible. That's a fungible thing. But with NFTs or non-fungible tokens, you can think that, if I was to give someone a CryptoKitty, it would be impossible for me to give someone the same CryptoKitty again because they are completely unique. And so that's kind of what makes NFTs special and why NFTs have been such a big thing recently. I'm sure you've seen it on things like OpenSea and all these marketplaces and all that because NFTs and the rarity and scarcity they generate are because they're non-fungible. And so this whole craze kind of started with CryptoKitties here, and this was a project by DapperLabs. Um, but they kind of saw that Solidity, which is the smart contract programming language for Ethereum, you'll hear me reference that a little bit in this series just to provide a contrast. But Solidity, my dear friend Nick at Decentology always says that Solidity allows developers to footgun themselves very easily. And it's so true. And that's because Solidity has a lot of vulnerabilities and allows the developer who's developing in Solidity to make mistakes. And so I think that the Flow team saw that, and also in response to this NFT craze, wanted to make a blockchain that was more focused on security, safety, of not allowing developers to footgun themselves, like my friend Nick always says, and also allowing for a better experience. And so, for lack of a better term, I would say that Flow really tried to improve on the quote unquote fails of Solidity, even though we will do a whole separate series on that, and it's a great programming language. But let's stick with Cadence for now. So I'm sure a little bit more on Dapper Labs. I'm sure you've also heard of something like NBA Top Shot. NBA Top Shot was huge. It still is pretty huge, and so this was also probably one of the biggest and probably one of the first projects on Cadence on the Flow blockchain that was really huge. So that kind of gives us a little history lesson, allows us to kind of start, right? So what is Flow? Why are we learning about Cadence? Well, Flow is a blockchain, and Cadence is the smart contract programming language for Flow. Now, I'm not going to assume you know a lot about smart contracts. That's kind of the point of the series. I'm not going to assume you know a lot about a blockchain, but I'm going to assume that you're at least interested in Web3 and blockchain development, and maybe you've heard of blockchain here and there. And so we'll kind of take that base understanding and try and build on it. So we're at onflow.org, and this is kind of the main website for the Flow blockchain. And let's start learning. So as a developer, right, we're going to be developing in Cadence, which is the smart contract programming language, and we'll get into that in a second. We're going to go to the for builder section and documentation. So we're going to try and read up on what is Cadence, right? So there's a lot going on here, and we're not going to read this because there's a ton going on. And I don't want you to read this yet because we will touch on all aspects of this page at some point in this series. But for now, let's just click on Cadence so we can get an introduction to Cadence here. And so what I really want to focus on in this video is why Cadence is unique to other blockchains, and what makes Cadence Cadence, right? And why are we even learning it? So I want to focus on this part, the Cadence programming language pillars. And these are 5 pillars that really differentiate Cadence from other smart contract programming languages. And these are the exact reasons why I'm even making this sort of series or course in the first place. So the first reason that, and probably the biggest or second biggest thing that Cadence does is improve on the safety and security of smart contract languages in the ecosystem. So you'll notice that throughout the series, I'm going to be talking a lot about how wonderful Cadence is in terms of safety and security of your programs. Um, and that's simply because of the fact that Cadence makes it so difficult for the developer to mess up. And this is such a wonderful thing, right? As a developer, you don't want to mess up, and Cadence does such a wonderful job of doing this, and we will see why in the rest of the series. But it's important to keep in the back of your head. The second, third, and fourth things that Cadence really tries to improve on is developer experience, clarity, code readability, approachability. So the things that allow a developer to have a good experience. That's pretty much what this is talking about. And oftentimes in things like Solidity, you don't have to know about that, but I'm just talking. It can be hard to read code. There's a lot going on. It can be confusing. The approachability isn't great. The developer experience, obviously, as Nick puts it, isn't great because it allows the developer to shoot themselves in the foot. But Cadence tries to improve on that, and that's because of the safety and security aspect that comes into it, and we will see why. And the last thing is the resource-oriented programming that takes place in Cadence. And so this is a totally new concept in programming. You won't see this in JavaScript. You won't see this in C++. You won't see this in other programming languages. This is unique to Cadence as a smart contract language. And we will see how resources, which are kind of a complex topic, so we won't touch on that until later in the series, but resources and the resource-oriented programming allow Cadence to be so unique from other blockchains. And we will also see why those resources are such a perfect fit for NFTs. And it will kind of tie the whole story together about why DapperLabs sort of even wanted to, have Flow and Cadence in the first place after their CryptoKitty craze. So I promised that I would keep these videos somewhat short, and that's my plan here. And besides this, there's a lot of other things in Cadence, but I want to stay focused on what's important here. And so you can get lost in documentation, you can get lost in the tutorials, but try and stick with what I have shown here. And I'll see you in the next video, and we'll keep building from there. In the next video, we're going to go over a very, very basic smart contract. We're going to explain what a smart contract is, and we'll get it going from there. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.